This is the Blaring Out with Eric Blair show. We're backstage at the 2012 Warped Tour in Pomona with Jack of Bayside. You're so busy doing music that it probably encompasses your entire life.
It does, actually. I'm happy. We try, all four of us in our band are trying to do we've gotten to the point now where we tour as much as we can, but in order not to burn out markets, we can only tour a certain amount. So there's we're starting to experience for the first time in our career downtime, which is great, but it's scary and it's weird because we're not used to having, when we get off tour, we're used to having a week, crash on someone's couch or go home, say hi to your family, and then you're back on the road. But now when we're off tour, it's like, well, listen, you're going to be home for a few months now. So in order to not go crazy, we're all kind of trying to figure out what we can do. So Chris is the drummer in the band. I play guitar. We've both been doing music lessons. I've been teaching guitar in Manhattan as well as online. Anthony's been just finished his, this last year had put out a solo record and has been doing a decent amount of touring on that. I know Nick is also, our bass player, has started a clothing company called Born and Bred. So we're all kind of, we're always, I know Anthony's constantly writing. I'm writing a ton anyway. I just have a friend who does documentaries. He's kind of trying to get me to do some scoring for something that he's done. So we're all trying to stay as busy and as involved both with Bayside and outside of it, but even the stuff that we're doing outside still peripherally is drawing attention to the band. So it's kind of a constant effort to stay busy and to try to get as much good stuff coming our way as possible.
You are a Warped Tour veteran.
Not much as some of these other bands, but we have done the tour. We've done the full tour in 2007, 2009, and we're going to do it this year. We've done a good section of it in 2004 and a good section in 2002. So we've made some appearances.
What are some of your past highlights from doing the Warped Tour over the years?
My absolute favorite Warped Tour memory is in 2009 when we did it last year, and we kind of made friends with the NoFX and Bad Religion guys, and the NoFX guys had heard that we had done a bunch of their covers. So at one of their shows in the Gorge in George, Washington, they asked us to come by their stage early, and they told us that they would like us to go up, play their instruments, and play one of theirs. So they asked us to play Linoleum to open their set and just to see if anyone notices. So that was kind of a huge highlight for me. Not only did the fact that we kind of got to be friendly with those guys, but they were like, for El Jefe to be like, hey, you're playing my guitar, man. I was like, this is crazy. So we got to go up on the stage, play Linoleum, and then we finished, and then kind of Mike took the mic. He was like, does anyone even know the difference? I don't think anyone knows. So I got that on tape. That's my favorite thing.
I think you're kind of a fan of the Yes drama record.
Yes, I am, actually.
What do you love about that record?
I don't know, just musicianship, really. For me, especially with bands like that, or anything that kind of goes proggy or jazz. For me, a lot of people get really into the lyrical aspect of music and into the vocal, not even necessarily the vocal melodies, but lyrics. But for me, it's 100%. It's really just musical for me. So that Yes has been a band for me that I've always been
How do you think that drama album compares to some of the other Yes albums? Because, of course, the Buggles are on that record.
My favorite Yes is just the Yes album, I would say, of all of that. And I think that I like that being with the early, super early, and just raw, and Steve Howe being a crazy alien, and Chris Squire being a total lunatic too. I just love that more than drama. I think that Yes album for me would be the top. But I do like a lot of it. The drummer who joined Bayside with me in 2003 was a guy from Boston who was in a prog band that was really directly influenced by a lot of Yes, and way more than anything that I've ever done. But he really kind of hammered that. That was the few summers before. I know Yes had done a concert tour, an evening with classic Yes. Yeah. So I got brought into all of that stuff with him, and it's just that culture is definitely a little bit weird. That's definitely the Yes. Going to an amphitheater Yes show is definitely night and day from the crowd you'll get here today. But I haven't even seen one Dungeons and Dragons shirt today. I haven't seen. I don't think actually I'm going to go on a limb and say that everybody who has gone to a Yes concert, I might be the only guy who's been to a Yes concert performing at this show today.
You'd be surprised. Now,
performing or attending?
Well, performing and attending, because a lot of these kids love Yes. I can't point out and say who, but you'd be surprised.
That guy doesn't like Yes.
He likes No. That's our new band. We're starting a band right now called No.
It's going to be an anti-progressive. It's going to be non-progressive music.
Well, and
regressive music.
Regressive, I like that.
Regressive. We're going to have a regressive band called No.
And that
it's going to a little bit one chord. The drummer's going to not play anything because he doesn't want to. It's going to be really simple and terrible.
You know what? It totally makes me think of de-evolution because with Devo, because we are de-evolving essentially. But let's get to the new Bayside record. What's it called?
It's Killing Time. It came out a little under a year ago, and we got to do that record with Gil Norton, which for all of us was kind of a dream come true. That's a producer that we've always. I remember joining the band, and we kind of had talked about, well, in terms of a best case scenario wish list, who are the producers that we'd really like to work with, and Gil Norton was always on the top of that list. So when we signed with Wind Up and they were kind of asking us initially, we were like, well, let's just throw some feelers and see who responds. And we reached out to him, got in touch with his management, and heard back, and he's like, yeah, I'd love to. I love the band, I like the ethic, let's kill it. So I mean, I think that really, the opportunity to work with him made the four of us really step up our game. I think we came in intimidated, and rightfully so, but not rightfully so. He's a really pleasant guy, and he's a lot of fun to work with, and I'd say my favorite working experience in the studio, hands down, he's so far in first place that it's silly. And I'm sorry to the other guys we worked with. You guys have all been sweet too.
Gil Norton is a lot of the records that he's produced are very quiet, loud.
Yeah.
And you know, and so did you guys take on, because I haven't heard the album yet, did you guys take on that sound?
Well, we do have, I think there is a good amount of diversity in the content on that record. It still all feels like Bayside, but there's a lot of play with dynamics in the record too, and I think that is important, and I think, you know, that's kind of what he's good at and what he's known for. But we do have there are a lot, even particularly within songs that might be considered some of the more aggressive, really kind of hard-hitting songs. There are moments where it really does open up, let the song breathe, and then makes the impact of the next part that much more meaningful or much more surprising, kind of. So,
do you think Bayside has a message?
You know what? If there is a message, it's really just about honesty. For us, it's really just about being, I don't know, honesty, integrity, just kind of like, we believe in what we do. We believe in ourselves as a band and as individuals, and I think lyrically that shows, and I think that musically we have a confidence without an arrogance, which I think is important. So if there's a message, it's kind of just like, be a good dude, don't be a dick, and, you know, try to do the best you can. And that's not really, I mean, it's the truth. It just, when I'm saying it that way, it sounds corny. I'm not the lyricist in the band, so I might just be, I'm riffing here. I'm better at guitar.
But being around the lyrics all the time, you are being exposed to them, and so you're aware of what that message.
From being with Anthony as well, kind of knowing how he vocalizes, how he speaks, what we talk about, what collectively as a band, and what we talk about personally. We're all very much on the same page in an idealistic sense, in terms of in terms of our general philosophies on life and music.
What is the number one thing that scares you the most about modern life today?
Oof. Have you seen the movie Idiocracy? This is kind of a cop-out answer, but there was a movie that Mike Judge did about 5 years ago, and it's basically about that. It's about devolution. It's about the complete devolving and breakdown of Western civilization, and it seems to be happening. The movie painted it at a rate that was supposed to be. The movie takes place where a guy is is just frozen, cryogenically frozen in a military experiment, and comes. They go through this whole spiel in the beginning where he's like, this statistically is the most average person you could find. They cryo-freeze him, and then they kind of lose him just in this weird accident somehow, and he just kind of uncovers naturally about 500 years later, and the world is just the worst place. It's comically bad, though, and it's one of my favorite movies, but it's funny, but it's so scary. And I really think that that's happening at a fast. I don't think we're going to have to wait 500 years. Makes me scared. It makes me. I really want to have kids, but I'm afraid to because I don't know that that's a responsible thing to do.
Well, alone having kids is a very frightful. I mean, just having kids, period, is such a huge responsibility for anybody to take on.
Certainly, but I feel like if I have them, maybe I'll pull some weirdo like the Village stunt and just raise them in the woods and tell them that there's no one else. Feel like let's just stay here, man. Let's just hunt and.
You seem pretty well balanced as a person.
I think so.
I mean, the modicum of fame that you've had as a guitar player for Bayside hasn't gone to your head. I'm a
huge dick.
Yeah.
I'm hopped up on Quaaludes right now.
He is.
I don't even know where I am.
We just did 20 lines of bath salts before,
Yeah.
and we ate some guy's face off, right?
Totally overrated. I thought face would have tasted better. It tastes like chicken.
Can you believe that thing?
No.
Why is it that it reminds me of high school where people would smoke anything just to get a high because they didn't have marijuana.
So like a smoking banana peels of the.
And it's like, oh, we hit upon something. Bath salts. Now we're gonna go crazy, superhuman strength, and then we're gonna eat people.
I'm afraid of new drugs. Nobody in our band is really like, we're not a big party band. We're not like, none of us are really into that stuff.
You
But
guys seem like a beer, a hot dog, and maybe a Diet Coke.
right, yeah, I would actually. Anthony doesn't drink anything, but Anthony would eat the hot dog. I'd have a martini actually. I'll have a nice vodka martini.
The hair.
And then yeah.
The hair, it's the.
I'm getting on to my age. I feel like I can enjoy a martini. Actually, still, when we were in Vegas 2 days ago, the only thing I won in Vegas was a martini glass that I took from Planet Hollywood Casino after I lost $10. I lost $10, but I got a martini, so I took the glass, and I feel like I got my money. That's my winnings.
You're about to get married.
Yeah.
Tell me about your fiance.
I met her here actually in 2007 in Pomona.
Okay, you're frightening me.
No, she was on the first day of Warped Tour. She was stage managing the Skull Candy tent that year, and no, it wasn't just a girl. Where I'm like, I'm gonna marry that girl's 16. I'm gonna marry her in 4 years when she's old enough. No, she was. I met her through a friend on the first day, and we hit it off. We just ended up hanging out for the whole summer. At the end of the summer, we started dating, and 6 months later, we were living together in New York, and then here we are. Almost 5 years later, and we'll be married at the end of the summer.
What do you think makes Bayside such a great band?
Honestly, I think that I really love the fact that our fans they connect with the music, and we've been fortunate enough to have a fan base that is dedicated fiercely to our band and to attending the shows, to communicating with us online and offline if we're just walking around at shows. I feel like we've kind of created ourselves as people who are approachable, who if you see us walking around, a lot of our friends won't feel uncomfortable coming up and just saying, hey, I just wanted to say hi, I really appreciate what you do, which is great. And I think that the more that we kind of have that connection with our fan, we're creating our music as something that not that we're doing for them, it's something that we're all kind of more collectively a part of, which is great. And again, like you're saying, like talking to people, riffing with people, like I'll go out there and do this all day and just meet fans and shoot the shit. So if we're playing at a club show, I'll just hang out at the bar, talk to people, whoever's out there. If they want to chat about whatever, I'm down.
You're a Steve Vai fan.
Yes, I am. I'm a Steve Vai fan. I'm particularly an early Steve Vai fan with his album Flexible and his work with Frank Zappa, because that's how I kind of got into Steve Vai. Some of his, I own Passion and Warfare. I like a lot of his other records as well, but I'm just kind of more than I'm a Steve Vai fan too. I think I really appreciate intricate, and I appreciate when a musician really gets really good at his instrument and has a very definitive style. I think that Steve Vai definitely has that. Even though I think a lot of people, if you're not a guitar player, and if you're not really like even more specifically like a lead guitar player or a solo player, I think he's a really easy guy to dismiss, because it's like, oh, that guy with leather pants and like the guitar with the monkey grip in it. It's like, yeah, but he's undeniably talented.
Well, he's a musician's musician. I mean, we can't expect the masses to understand when we know that. And I love Britney Spears, but we know Britney Spears, and
if your favorite band is Britney Spears, you're probably not gonna like Steve Vai.
Yeah, but let me ask you a little trivia here.
Okay.
What connection does Johnny Lydon have with Steve Vai?
Johnny Lydon and Steve Vai. Hang on. Not through.
Okay.
I think Sex Pistols and Steve Vai. I have no idea how.
Here it is.
Okay.
In 1985, Public Image came out with an album called Album.
Oh, or cassette or a
yeah,
disc.
Exactly.
With the white with the blue on it.
Steve Vai plays all the guitars on that record.
Really?
Yes.
I did not know that. You know, it's even weirder. I owned that record when I was in junior high, and I don't have it anymore, but that makes me want to go back and re-listen to it now.
And because you also love Frank Zappa, Frank Zappa has how many DVDs did he make? He made like 4 or 5, but out of the ones from the late 70s, which one do you think? I mean, there's Baby Snakes, there's Dub Room Special, And then what's the other one?
Baby Snakes is the one that I actually typically carry with me on tour in a DVD book, and I like it more. I mean, for the animation and stuff alone, I just think that that's kind of like it's more of like a non-traditional approach to like a music DVD like that. So that's the one that I would kind of like default to.
I own Baby Snakes, and I'm more of a dub room special guy myself, just because I like to actually see the performance.
Fair enough.
And Patrick O'Hearn's on that, and Chad Wackerman plays drums on that. Bozio plays drums on Baby Snakes, and the irony about the Baby Snakes DVD is that Warren Cucurullo is a young man in that behind the scenes.
Where he's where Zappa's like, oh yeah, we'll give you your audition. We'll give you the audition.
And he's talking about how he's just trying to make a living giving guitar lessons.
In Duran Duran, yeah, have fun with that, Warren.
He ends up putting together a super group with Terry Bozzio, Dale Bozzio, and Patrick O'Hearn from Zappa called Missing Persons. They have platinum success, and then he goes on to, eventually be in Duran Duran.
Yeah.
So
there's hope for me. That's what you're saying.
You need to get back. If only Frank Zappa was still alive, you could hang out backstage.
I gotta go find. Let me ask you a question. What do you think of the Zappa Plays Zappa stuff now?
I'm a huge Dweezil Zappa fan, and I totally hail him for doing that, for keeping his father's legacy alive.
It's so good. He's actually, I've seen that show twice, and I am blown away at how much better a guitar player he is than I thought he was. Because of all of his solo stuff that he's done, with I never really had him pegged, but the way he kills the Frank solos is really good. And actually, the DVD stuff I know Vi did guest. Was it Vi and Bozzio, and I think was it Ray White might have done guesting on the DVD. I'm not sure, but I couldn't believe how when they were doing like the dueling stuff with Vi and Dweezil, I was really surprised at how clean Dweezil's performance was. Even almost, I know Vi's probably practiced these things a lot less than Dweezil has, because he was talking about having done those things for really working on this for years, getting that tour together, but. It's mind-blowing to just see how much cleaner he was even than Vi side by side. I was like, all right, way to go, Dweezil. That's awesome. And he had just such killer tone with those weird Cornford amps. I was like, oh, so good. That's one of the best shows. That's that in the last 3 years, that's probably my favorite show that I've seen, though.
I would love to. I mean, I talked to Dweezil back in 2001, and he was dating Lisa Loeb at the time, and she was just not having it.
Oh, yeah?
Oh, no. She did not want that interview to happen. Oh, no. And he was like, trying to do the interview, and she was just shutting him down. It was like cracking the whip. Blaring out with Eric Blair at 2012 Warped Tour at Jack of Bayside, signing off. Thank you, brother.
Hey, my pleasure.
The Blaring Out Show.